With regards to Sony, and Sony controls about 2/3 of the global gaming market and has vocally opposed Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. The FTC's position aligns with Sony, the dominant market leader, despite Xbox's position as the third place gaming console manufacturer with a near non-existent mobile gaming market share and multiple public comments to ensure that Call of Duty is open to competitor consoles.
I say we can all agree that competition law isn't supposed to protect an industry's dominant player.
Correct.
In light of that, I find it curious that the FTC is taking action to protect Sony, which has 68% of the global market for high-end video gaming consoles.
Let's look more closely at the Activision decision, though. The court first noted that in an attempt to lower your burden, you essentially made up case law. You couldn't find anything actually that's the courts have provided in terms of precedents. You cited to your own FTC decision as precedent. But irrespective of the legal standard, the court, you probably wouldn't have won under any standard because the court said this, that the FTC has not raised serious questions regarding whether the proposed merger is likely to substantially lessen competition. Not raised.
Hello and welcome back to the channel, and it's finally over. Yes, it's scary it took 2 years to get to this point, but FTC loses appeal to stop Microsoft's Activision Blizzard deal that already happened. So basically the deal went through, that wasn't blocked. However, the FTC continued to try to block it. Right for the past 2 years, even continued to try to block the deal, and obviously Microsoft have continuously been scrutinised and watched for the past 2 years, and now it's all finally over. Xbox is actually free. So reading into this, the Federal Trade Commission (FTC) has lost its appeal of a ruling in the case against Microsoft's $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. In 2023, the FTC requested a preliminary injunction to prevent the companies from finalising the deal, or its legal challenge to the acquisition from 2022 was in progress. With control of Activision's content, Microsoft would have the ability to increase incentive to withhold or degrade Activision's content in the ways. Why would they do that? Why would they degrade ways substantially less than competition, including competition on product quality, price, and innovation? The FTC said in its complaint. A district court judge denied the FTC's request, and a day after that, ruling, the FTC appealed. The deal was completed in 2023, nearly 2 years after the acquisition was first announced. So straight after that, in 2023, October 2023, the FTC appealed, and it's been going through a whole appeals court and finally ended. So I'm pretty sure we're all aware the FTC was basically mimicking what Sony wanted, because Sony come out and said they said it would degrade the game on their console, yada yada yada. Microsoft would just hold them back, and it being exclusive to Xbox is unfair, and they basically, Jim Ryan flew to Brussels and complained and whined and moaned to the FTC. The FTC, taking a bit of a backhander, just went, oh, Sony, let's just defend Sony and protect Sony. For some reason, even though it's been pointed out in the courts, the FTC and PlayStation fanboys continuously tell the world that they yet were scared that Xbox have a monopoly, even though PlayStation's the best and rule everything, but they was worried about Xbox having a monopoly. The FTC was basically mimicking what Jim Ryan said. Whatever he told them, they would say and use that in court. Unfortunately, it fell flat because he was lying through most of it and talking shit. And unfortunately for Lena, she just copy-pasted what he was saying with no real knowledge of gaming or anything was going on in the world whatsoever, because she was hopeless at her job. I mean, just look at the main gist of their argument. That's the FTC's main argument, that the acquisition would potentially mean that Microsoft would make Activision games exclusive to Xbox. The appeals court pointed out that even if this was the case, it's standard in the industry. Yes. So why is Xbox held accountable for having exclusives? Why are they chained? Why are they not allowed to have exclusives while Sony can literally just pull games off Xbox or other platforms with no questions? And they have done and continue to do so. Most recent being Stellar Blade, that was going to be on Xbox. It's advertised on Xbox. Yet PlayStation bought the marketing for it, tore it off Xbox. And this is why this is all going on. And there's other cases of it. Spider-Man was apparently meant to be coming to Xbox, but they stopped it. Various games were meant to be going to Xbox, but PlayStation stopped them. While this was going on, FTC was hard on Xbox, blocking anything that had been exclusive. All major manufacturers have engaged in this practice. The court found, stressing that Nintendo and Sony both have significantly higher number of exclusive games on their platform than Microsoft does. Now, don't skew what I'm saying. I'm all against exclusives. Games should be on every single platform. But I'm against this kind of narrative, this competition blocking, where Sony, want to be leaders. PlayStation think they're the best. PlayStation fans think they're the best. Sony want to be leaders, knowing, but they're doing so by blocking the competition, not by improving themselves, not by being a better company, but by weakening the other company. It's shocking that someone like the proper government, like the FTC, will take the side of Sony. Will support the Xbox tax. Basically, this kind of evidence proves Xbox tax. And this is why I've got it on my thumb now. Xbox has been handcuffed, because for the past few years they've been handcuffed, and we can see now the trajectory of Xbox and why their games are going more multi-platform. Because for years they've been scrutinised, and they will continue to be scrutinised. And at the end of the day, if you want fair competition, then allow fair competition, but don't block Xbox. Don't hand tie them, don't handcuff them, don't put their hands behind their back. Go, we want competition. This is what the PlayStation fans come out. Xbox not competing is their fault that PlayStation are being anti-consumer. No, it's not. It's PlayStation's fault, because they're holding Xbox down. They're pinning them and getting the government to support them. Well, I'm not doing anything for you. You should be really outraged at this. You should be outraged that Sony is blocking the competition. This is what I find shocking from a lot of the PlayStation fanboys and their sites and stuff. The people that support the sites. You know what about the X-Vaults of gaming, the Respawns, the King Thrashes, the Mooches. The people we talk about. I'm shocked that they don't ever hold Sony accountable. Well, we know why, because they're not really gamers. They're not for the gaming. They're more for the console wars. They're more about pushing console sales and be able to go on Twitter and gloat that PlayStation has more console sales. They don't care about the games. We don't care that PlayStation's actually not releasing the games. They care that PlayStation's getting Xbox games, and that's great now, even though for years they say they're crap when the games release. They're crap. When they get to PlayStation, it's great and, fantastic, the best thing ever. And it's killing Xbox, which I find weird. They think having more software sales is destroying a company. The complete opposite of what it's actually doing. And Game Pass is getting more popular, which I think's ruining the devs, which is, once again, the complete opposite, because we've seen Sony close studios, cancel games, because the games are not being bought. It's on a subscription service. Sony, maybe you should put some of your games like Concord on subscription services and stuff like that. They might do better if your fans found that their services were worth paying for, but they're not. So in light of all this, and Microsoft finally being a little bit freer and not being watched, what do I think is going to happen to Microsoft and Xbox? Well, I think they're still going to put their old games on. They're still going to have the legacy titles, such as the Bethesda titles and stuff like that. They're those held accountable at the time then. So you still see your Skyrims, your Fallouts and games, and Doom and things like that on PlayStation. They can't remove those off there. I think there might be a fuss kicked up then. Why, I don't know, because if you want competition and Sony is in a strong place, PlayStation's the best console ever, I can't see why we can't have those games exclusive. But we know the PlayStation fans don't really want those games to be exclusive, hence the whole monopoly and it's not fair and Jim Ryan kicking up a fuss and crying his eyes out. So we know they don't really want competition. If they did, we wouldn't be going through any of this. This video would exist if Sony actually wanted competition, but they don't. They're scared of competition, much like Nintendo. Yes, Nintendo. This is equally shocking that Nintendo continues to block our old and avoiding any competition for their games, because Nintendo never want to improve on anything. They just want to rehash old games over and over and over and over again and make you buy them full price, and they don't want any competition, so they're dead against this. But at the end of the day, if you actually want competition, don't support things like this. Don't support things like the FTC. Don't support Sony blocking brands and exclusivity on the Xbox side. If you actually want competition, allow Xbox to buy who want. I know you're going to all come out and go, oh yeah, we don't care if Xbox has Call of Duty exclusive, because you know there's a 10-year deal that they won't. In the future, will they? Possibly. I think there is a thing for them to get the mind share, and that's what they're doing at the moment. They're just trying to get the PlayStation mind share shifted over to all their Xbox games, and then I think they might pull the plug and go, right, exclusives. I think Call of Duty in 10 years could possibly be exclusive to the Xbox platform once that mind share's switched over, because PlayStation for too long has had the mind share. And clearly, this is no fault of Xbox. This is clearly to do with Sony and FTC. And it'd do good. It'd do PlayStation good for them, or it could be good for the gamers, for Sony to realise that they need to step up. They need to start producing games, making games, and not just stealing games and blocking the competition. At the end of the day, we should all just be gaming and enjoying it, and we should all be just supporting each other. I don't know why there's such a divide between people. It's weird, really. As I said before in a previous video, you don't get this anywhere else. Anyway, hope you enjoy the video. I'd love to hear your comments below, what you think of what you think of the future of Xbox now, how will things change, will it change anything? But anyway, thank you all for watching. Please sub, share and like, and goodbye for now.